From the headquarters of Telesur English in Quito, Ecuador, this is From the South, and I am Zoe Gray. There's still no word on the fate of two Ecuadorian journalists and their driver kidnapped near the Colombian border on Monday. Ministers have been meeting with the International Relations Committee of the National Assembly. They've asked the media to act with discretion to protect the lives of those taken captive.
The President of the Assembly and the Interior, Defense and Foreign Ministers met with the International Commission to discuss the attacks near to the Colombian border and the kidnapped journalist from the commercial newspaper.
Out of responsibility, we are not making any comment. This is a negotiation going on between the parties. Any information could even put the journalists' lives at risk.
Several Assembly members expressed their views on the kidnapping and the action that the governments involved should take.
It is not acceptable that while Ecuador is making great efforts, Colombia has abandoned this region, and they come and attack us. We cannot go in this region in Colombia because we might create a bigger international conflict.
As far as we know, they are still kidnapped, and we prefer to stick with the official information rather than whatever the Colombian media may say, because we want to protect the life of these colleagues and be very prudent.
So far, the release of the journalists has not been confirmed. Their families have been told to keep calm, and the authorities say they are confident that the journalists will be returned home. Denise Herrera, Telesur, Quito, Ecuador.
Moving on to Venezuela, where President Nicolas Maduro recently announced a new set of economic measures to help stabilize the economy. The issue of inflation remains at the core of Venezuela's economic difficulties. Freddie Gillingham has more on one of the main factors driving it.
Counting large wads of money in Venezuela has become an everyday ordeal. Venezuela's national currency, the bolivar, has lost its value at a staggering rate. Now, there is simply not much of it to go around. That's why paying by debit card is the preferred option. In an attempt to stabilize the economy and help curb inflation, President Nicolas Maduro has announced that he will be knocking off 3 zeros from the bolivar, a redenomination which is scheduled to come into effect on June 4th.
I've decided to take 3 zeros off the bolivar and take the old banknotes out of circulation.
Venezuela's existing economic problems run deep. But surprisingly, one of the leading causes can be reached at a click of a button. A website called Dollar Today, founded in 2010 and headquartered in Miami, Florida, the website has since grown in its scope and objective. From initially being a mere reference for the exchange rate of the Venezuelan bolivar, it now operates as a fully functioning media site, with an editorial line that would give Fox News a run for its money. Dollar Today's speculation on the exchange rate is based on the illegal trades made in the Colombian border town of Cúcuta. For example, smugglers buy 10 packets of subsidized toilet paper in Venezuela for 30,000 bolivars. That means $1 at the official rate. They then take the toilet paper over to Cúcuta and sell it for $10. This is profitable, but not enough. So now they decide that this $1 is going to be worth 120,000 bolivars, just because it benefits them. That means that the same $1 they can now buy 40 packets of toilet paper. This is how Dollar Today calculates its rates to benefit the smugglers. With over 1 million users daily, Dollar Today now has a huge influence over the population. Basic goods inside Venezuela are skyrocketing as a result of the fictional pricing. But as long as the US-based company ties its editorial line to that of Washington, it will not be going away anytime soon. Freddie Gillingham, Telesur, Caracas.
Venezuela has reached an agreement with Trinidad and Tobago to renew energy ties. The two countries have been working on a project to build a gas pipeline from Campo Dragon, Venezuela, to the Hibiscus field in Trinidad and Tobago. At a meeting in Caracas on Tuesday, representatives reviewed the process of agreements to export gas from Venezuela to Trinidad and Tobago. These agreements will meet market needs in both countries in the medium and long term, according to a statement from the Trinidad and Tobago government. Activists and opposition parties in Trinidad and Tobago have condemned their government after the ambassador to the Organization of American States refused to allow Dominica a reprieve from paying their dues. Last Friday, at the special meeting of the Permanent Council in Washington, D.C., Dominica asked the OAS to waive their fees because of the devastating impact of Hurricane Maria. Other member states agreed, but Representative for Trinidad and Tobago, Anthony Philip Spencer, said he believed Dominica should come up with a payment plan. The response has led to a serious backlash from social organizations and the media, who called the decision shameful.
In assessing its international obligations, the government of the Commonwealth of Dominica has identified as a mitigating measure waiver facilities of its annual contribution over a specified period to address its commitment to international organizations.
Trinidad and Tobago would wish to offer its express reservation again here, without prejudice at all for the concern that we share with all member states.
In a press release, the Trinidadian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dennis Moses, said Trinidad's official position was misrepresented and his ministry is launching an investigation into how the miscommunication occurred. Moses said the position presented at the OAS is not aligned with the actions, policy, or orientation of Trinidad and Tobago towards Dominica. Jamaica believes in second chances, and prisoners will soon be receiving a secondary education. This is part of the Prisoners to College pipeline to help them integrate back into society and get jobs. Research shows inmates involved in educational programs have a higher chance of being rehabilitated. This program was first pitched last year but was delayed due to funding. The Prisoners to College pipeline is the brainchild of Dr. Baz Dressinger, an English professor from John Jay College of Criminal Justice. She joins us now live from Chile to discuss the project. Dr. Dressinger, rehabilitation is not something that Caribbean prisons are great at. Does Jamaica have the necessary systems in place to ensure the longevity and success of this program?
I think Jamaica has the potential, as do I think many countries have the potential. Currently, not everything is in place to make this happen, but there are enough resources, there are enough people on the ground, and there's enough commitment to the project to make this a reality.
And the local university, UE, seems to be very supportive of the project. But how has the Education Ministry and the Jamaica Teachers Association responded? And do the teachers involved in the project need to have special training to deal with the sometimes complicated social issues that the prisons may be facing?
So there's a great deal of enthusiasm throughout Jamaica around this project. A great deal of commitment among the ministries, the various ministries, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Education. The university professors who will be teaching in this program do not need special training. One of the critical pieces of the program is the philosophy that it doesn't take special training to work with individuals who are incarcerated. They're students just like everybody else.
And how has the feedback been to the project from the students? I know it's very new, but you've been testing it and you've done comparisons in your book, Incarcerated Nations, on how programs like this could function. So what has the feedback been from the students themselves, the prisoners themselves?
So I should say I've been collaborating with several countries, including Jamaica, including Trinidad, South Africa most recently, Australia, even as far as Hong Kong. I've had many conversations with different countries and with various stakeholders who are interested in bringing versions of the prison to college pipeline to their countries. And in all of them, I've met with individuals who are incarcerated, the potential students who would take part in this program, and there's enormous excitement over the possibilities. And I should also add that this is not a program that is a cut and paste cookie cutter one that looks identical in every country. Countries have their own issues, have unique challenges, as do incarcerated individuals in various countries. So this is a program that tailors itself for the needs of a particular country, and so it will be in Jamaica. It is not my program. I'm there as a consultant and as a facilitator to bring it about. My partners are in Jamaica, based in Jamaica, at the University of the West Indies, and at various other institutions that are committed to working with people who are in prison.
Well, you said that this is a program that can be tailored to the individual countries where it will be functioning. Where else are we going to see this program?
Well, the hope is South Africa and Trinidad most initially. But I am currently, I'm in Chile on a global Fulbright fellowship and currently doing a lot of work traveling around, engaging with universities, engaging with departments of corrections internationally, both in various parts of the world, whether it's the Caribbean, Africa, Latin America, and Asia. And I can say that everywhere I go, there's tremendous interest. Really, the fundamental basis of the prison to college pipeline is the notion that universities have a role to play in creating safer communities and in building better justice systems in their various countries. And that is something that is universally applicable.
Okay, well, thank you so much for chatting with us. We've been talking to Dr. Baz Dressinger of the Prisoners to College program, which has just been launched in Jamaica. We're going to take a short break now, but join us again after this look at what our multimedia colleagues are reporting. Welcome back. In Mexico, the body of missing activist and member of the National Coordinator of Education Workers, Maria Guadalupe Hernandez Flores, has been found. The body of the LGBT human rights activist, also known as Cleo, was found with signs of torture in Guanajuato on March 20th, though it was not until 3 days later that relatives were called to identify the body. The 37-year-old was last seen on March 11th boarding a bus. The National Commission for Human Rights has demanded that the local authorities carry out an investigation to find those responsible for her murder. In Haiti, police have found a body near the area where the journalist Vladimir Legouagnier disappeared. A police spokesperson said the partial remains were discovered on Wednesday during a police operation in Grand Ravine. The body will have to be examined by a forensic expert. Legouagnier disappeared on March 14th while on assignment in the gang-controlled area. Costa Rica is ready for elections on Sunday. Authorities are calling on citizens to go to the polls despite the Easter holidays. LGBTI groups have also called for protection after an aggressive campaign against them by the right-wing candidate Fabricio Alvarado. Our correspondent Francisco Francia brings us the details.
Gracias, un gusto saludarte. Aquí en San José, la capital de Costa Rica.
Streets in the capital, San Jose, are empty as most residents have left the city for holidays. That's why an intense campaign was launched here in Costa Rica to call on Costa Ricans to vote in Sunday's upcoming elections, fearing people won't attend due to Easter holidays. Political parties are even financing a transport network so people can easily get to the poll stations. The Costa Rican Electoral Authority has already announced that everything is ready. The main political parties are also ready. The right-wing supporting evangelist, Fabricio Alvarado, has promised in his 150-page manifesto to eliminate what he calls gender ideology. So different LGBTI movements have called on the population to protect and respect LGBT people, as 42 violent attacks have been registered against them since the beginning of this electoral campaign, where human rights issues have taken a central role.
The caravan of former Brazilian President Lula Silva reached its final stop on Wednesday in the southern city of Curitiba. Over 3,000 people turned out to support Lula, who promised them he will be returning to power. Lula remains the favorite to win October's presidential election, but Brazilian courts are about to decide whether to send him to prison for alleged corruption, which would prevent him from running. In an interview with Ecuador's former president, Rafael Correa, Lula explained how flawed the legal case against him is being used to block his candidacy.
In Brazil, there is a pact between the media, the courts, the public prosecutors, and the police. First, they criminalize people in the media, and only once the person has been condemned, they go through the legal process. In my case, the media lied, and that lie was turned into a police investigation. The investigation was sent to the prosecutor's office and led to false charges, which were accepted by the judge, who passed a verdict, which was an even bigger lie. Then it went to a second court, which consolidated the lie. The whole thing was a lie, because they have to stop Lula being a candidate for the Brazilian presidency.
Residents of Barcarena, an Amazonian city in the north of Brazil, are falling sick and they're blaming the illnesses on pollution from a Norwegian hydro plant. Residents have been suffering from diarrhea, stomach pains, and itchy skin since February 2017, when heavy rain caused a bauxite residue disposal reservoir to overflow. The waste pool belongs to Alunorte Aluminium Refinery, owned by the Norwegian aluminium firm Norsk Hydro. And in a statement published on the company's website, President and CEO Svein Richard Brandtzæg admitted that a local river was contaminated by their actions. He said, "We have discharged untreated rain and surface water into the Para River. This is completely unacceptable and in breach with what Hydro stands for."
The factory arrived here just to kill us. It is bringing us only destruction and pollution. We are slowly dying. Everything is polluted. Barcarena is all polluted. The soil, the vegetation, everything.
At a press conference in Belém on Wednesday, the Evandro Chagas Institute, the ECI, announced that substantial quantities of toxic metals such as lead, cobalt, and uranium were found in the waters of Barcarena.
We came to the conclusion that this last channel was responsible for getting rid of toxic metals, such as arsenic, silver, cadmium, chrome, jumbo, lead, manganese, mercury, nickel, cobalt, uranium, among others. And that obviously represents a risk. The company stated that the treatment of these metals was controlled, but there is no way that such thing is even possible when there is no safe levels for those kind of toxic elements.
Bolivian President Evo Morales attended the reenactment of a famous battle against Chilean troops on Wednesday. The event, which took place in the southern city of Potosi, was moved to coincide with the closing arguments presented by Chile in The Hague in the maritime dispute between the two countries. Bolivian soldiers stopped the advance of Chile in 1879 in the Battle of Chanchas Blancas. Morales hailed the historic Bolivian victory and said he has faith in the International Court of Justice.
el mundo entero se informa que hay un tema pendiente.
Everyone knows there is a pending issue. I want to tell you again that the invasion, the usurpation does not create rights. Rather, the commitments of the states, the resolutions of the international bodies should be complied with for the good of humanity. We have a lot of confidence, much hope in the case and especially in the International Court of Justice.
Welcome back. Russia has expelled 60 U.S. diplomats and closed the country's St. Petersburg consulate in a tit-for-tat response to U.S. action over a spy poisoning case in the United Kingdom. Now the U.S. State Department says it may respond to Russia's expulsion of U.S. diplomats. Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia were found unconscious on a bench in the city of Salisbury in the United Kingdom on the 4th of March. More than 20 countries have since expelled Russian envoys in solidarity with the UK, which has blamed Moscow for the attack. But the hospital treating the pair said Thursday Yulia is improving rapidly and she's out of critical condition.
Regarding the rest of the countries, there will be a reciprocal number of people leaving the Russian Federation from the body of diplomatic missions. I must mention that we were informed by British authorities about the state of Yulia Skripal's health at long last. They say she is recovering quickly, and we again demand to have access to Yulia as a Russian citizen. I hope the British side will be able to fulfill its responsibilities.
In the United States, the funeral of Stephen Clark was held today in the city of Sacramento, California. The 22-year-old African-American was gunned down by police earlier this month in his grandmother's front garden. Officers shot Clark 20 times in what has been described as an execution. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump has said he does not want to get involved in this, saying it is a local matter. Our correspondent Jorge Gestoso has the latest.
Here in Washington, the press secretary of the White House says that the president doesn't want to get involved in this case. He believes that it's a local matter and therefore this is a new strategy not to address the key issue here, that is police brutality, racism, xenophobia. Definitely, this is an issue that has sparked demonstrations not only in Sacramento, but last night also in the city of New York. The Reverend Al Sharpson is going to be the one who's going to be delivering the eulogy in the funeral, and the attorney of the family of the victim, we're talking about Stephen Clark, is saying that what is going to be the reaction regarding the comments of the Secretary of Press of the White House are absolutely against. They do believe that this is not a local issue. The issue that is taking place here is a national issue. We get back to you now.
We thank Jorge Gestoso for that report, and we head to some of the other stories making headlines around the world.
Palestinians in Gaza have set up tents near the border with Israel ahead of a 6-week protest camp under the presence of Israeli soldiers. Camps and protests in Gaza are expected to continue until midday, around the time the U.S. is set to inaugurate its controversial new embassy in Jerusalem. Sierra Leone's ruling presidential candidate, Samura Kamara, begged supporters not to be provoked by opposition parties ahead of the country's runoff election on March 31st. Kamara narrowly lost to the main opposition party's candidate, Julius Maada Bio, in the first round of the election, but neither secured enough votes for a victory.
I plead with you, let nobody provoke you, because some people really want to provoke us to anger, so that they can win by default. They had misled you once. They had used you once. Don't give them a chance to use you again.
Chinese President Xi Jinping and his Nambian counterpart Hage Geingob have agreed to establish a comprehensive strategic partnership of cooperation between the two countries. Xi Jinping also called for enhanced coordination in global and regional affairs to protect the common interests of Africa and developing countries.
Well, we've come to the end of this news brief. For these and many other stories, you can find them on our website at talisotv.net/English. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Talisio English, I'm Soini Gray. Thank you so much for watching.